Alright guys, what's going on? Sick Bid here, aka me, coming at you with another intro to Draft League. And I think we're going to start with the document today. Okay, so this is the next step right after you apply, you get accepted. Now you're getting ready for the draft. Okay, so we're on that draft, we're on that way to the draft. Okay, we'll talk about the draft next video, so if you're looking for that, I would go there right now. But before you go, I think it's super important that you kind of understand your document and know more or less what it's going to look like and how to use it effectively, because there's a lot of information that you can find from the document that'll help you draft. So, excuse me. The first thing you're going to do whenever you open up your document, right? And this is your main resource for understanding how your draft is laid out, what format to use, and what is allowed, whether it be Pokemon or moves. Excuse me. So the first thing that we're going to look at is we're just going to go in order here. So it looks like this is the start of it. So WPF Season 6 will have no-cut moves, DLC moves from Isle of Armor. So there's a lot of leagues out there that have different formats, and in this format for the WPF for the Season 6, it will have no-cut moves. So that means Hidden Powers is a really popular one. Things like that. The Hidden Powers are a really big one. And then it's going to allow DLC moves from Isle of Armor. Okay, so that's really interesting. And not all leagues are going to be like this. Some allow Hidden Powers because the owners like it or whatever, and that's fine. That's great. I'm in a couple of leagues like that. And then the next thing we have is division mod. So it says the S division is Techno Electric, and then there's Ubers, blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. So if you need to get a hold of somebody that's important in your format, then okay, I'm in the D League. Okay, who is it? Kaiwai and John. Okay, cool. I already know who to get to if I have a question beyond these rules. So we're kind of just going to go in order of the rules to kind of see if I can talk about some of them and to maybe better understand them. Because these are usually for like veteran players. They're not super explanatory. They just kind of are just laying it out like, hey, this is what you need to do. So for the first one, it says at all times. Okay, so this is just following rules. It says drafts will be snake style, which means that, and this is really, really common, serpentine drafts. So it goes from 1 to 18 and then back. As soon as 18 picks, he gets a double pick, right? So that's what kind of balances the drafting process, right? So everybody else, if you're number 18, you're last in line, everybody else gets a pick before you, but then you get your second pick way before everybody else, okay? So that's what kind of balances the drafting, which I kind of prefer to be either really close to the front or really close to the back, just because it lets me get Pokemon that synergize really well together. That's just my opinion. And then it says coaches must have, for the next rule, it says coaches must have 1 tier 1, 1 tier 2, 2 tier 3s, 1 tier 4, and 1 tier 5, which is pretty standard among tier drafts. Yeah, it's pretty standard. You're going to have 2 tier 3s, and then the rest are going to be 1 tier 1s each. And then you're going to have usually 400 points free pick of 400 points to use to get 4 other mons that can help your team. And you can pick usually any tier with those free points. But obviously the higher the tier Pokemon, the more that they're going to cost, so you can get less of them if you get higher tier, and you can get more of them if you get lower tier. But that's just something that we can talk about in another video once we get to the drafting process, but I kind of wanted you to be aware of it, how the tier draft. So that kind of format is called tier drafting. And the next format that we're going to look at is, I don't really like to call them free agents, so we're not going to talk about that part. And then this is a point draft, so a team of 11 Pokemon that doesn't exceed 1,100 combined points. So this is a point base. So usually the higher tier Pokemon are like 200 points, and then it goes all the way down to 10 points or something like that, maybe 20 points as one of the lowest Pokemon. So just different kind of ways to draft, different formats, and it's really, really important that you look at the rules, because you can just miss this and then you think you're in a tier draft and then you take a tier 1 that costs way more than you wanted it to, and then you're stuck with it, until the end of the draft, and just different things. Maybe there's not a tier 1 that you wanted that's not there anymore, and you're stuck with that Pokemon now. So you just kind of have to be aware of the rules and find out if it's a tier draft or a point draft. I really prefer the point drafts, but tier drafts you can find some good value, I think. But that's all I want to say about that for right now. And then it says you're not required, so both in a tier draft and a point draft, you're not required to spend all of your 400 points or all of your 1100 points respectively, whether you're in tier or points. You don't have to spend all your points. I think it's in your best interest because you're getting the most value out of the draft. The draft is set up in a way, and it gives you enough points that have been calculated, based on so many different factors, that's what gives you the most value to get out of your team. Now, sometimes it doesn't work out like that, and maybe you have 20 or 40 points more. That's fine. That's okay. It happens. But a lot of the times you want to structure it in a way in which you can spend all your points. So this talks about draft timers. Now, all the leagues, some leagues don't have draft timers, some leagues do. It just depends on how competitive the league is. Usually is how quick the draft timer is. I've been in leagues that are an hour, and what's important here to learn about rule number 6 here is that you need to leave picks. The faster the draft timer, the more picks you need to leave, because if you're not there and you get skipped and one of your mons gets taken that you wanted, that's on you. And so that can be unfortunate, but because we're all busy in our lives, right? So you just need to be kind of aware of the draft timer and leaving picks. And leaving picks specifically, I want to go over that a little bit, means that you want to, whether it be with the host or someone that's trusted or someone that drafts right after you, you want to say, hey, whenever this comes up, can you grab this for me? Can you grab me Nidoking, for instance, Nidoking? And if, and I usually leave a backup pick. If Nidoking's not there, can you grab me Nidoqueen? And you know what? If Nidoqueen's not there, can you give me Nihilego? Okay, so just kind of Pokemon that fit that same thing that you want, while also, making sure that you get something that you want, instead of just getting skipped. So we can move on with that. It says Pokemon with Mega Evolutions will be treated as 2 separate. So this is just a species cause. It's just saying that if you get a Mega Scissor, you can't draft regular Scissor. Let somebody else draft a Pokemon that you already have, which it's a lot of the time it's not in your best interest to do anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. This one talks about free agent stuff, which is just what happens after the draft. You can go and pick up Pokemon that maybe it may have been left on the board, but you already filled that role, and you kind of just wanted to switch them out. Or switch a couple of mons around because you thought that they would go earlier and they didn't, so you got this mon. Whatever the case is, you can switch them out. Usually it's something called a grace period where you can switch as many Pokemon as you want out, change your whole team if you want to, until about 24 hours. Usually that's when the grace period ends, right after the draft. But moving on, coaches are not allowed to initiate. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that because that's replacements. It says the season is 10 weeks long. It says that rosters are finalized at the end of week 8, which means that week 8 is the trade deadline. I don't think I have to go more into that. Trade deadline to make trades. Okay, top 8 teams will progress to playoffs. So it says in this format, it says best win-loss, which is most common. But if you have the same win-loss, this one says head-to-head. I've seen kill differential. Do that too, but head-to-heads, that's an interesting one. Rule number 12 talks about Mega Evolutions. So there are some Mega Evolutions that gain buffs if they don't have to Mega Evolve that first turn. That's what this rule is talking about. So for instance, Mega Sharpedo is a really common one. Mega Sharpedo has Speed Boost before he Mega Evolves, right? And then after he Mega Evolves, he gets like Tough Jaws or something like that. Something to boost his biting moves. It would be advantageous for Sharpedo to use Protect the first turn in regular form, not take any damage, and then Mega Evolve the next turn to get a speed boost. Just one speed boost, or maybe two, whatever you can get. But it's advantageous for that Pokemon to get that. But sometimes leagues don't allow that, and you have to Mega Evolve turn 1. So you just gotta, again, you have to go to the rules, you have to learn, you have to familiarize yourself with them, and then you can make the best decision based on those rules. So that's one of them. Weekly battle. Okay, so this just says get your games done. This says get your games done. Oh, it says actually you are only permitted to dry pass. So there's something called there's a move that is called baton pass, and it just allows you to pass stats or just kind of get momentum. So like if you expect somebody to switch, then you use baton pass, and then they switch Pokemon, and then you're able to switch, and then you get to pick what Pokemon you want to bring in. Okay. Now this one says you are only permitted to dry pass. So the word in quotations dry means that you're not allowed to pass substitutes or any stat of any kind to another Pokemon. So that means like if you Swords Dance, you can't baton pass. You have to stay in, or you have to hard switch out. Okay, and I hope that makes sense. Because there's leagues where Scolipede is a little bit better because he's able to speed boost with his ability, and then baton pass the speed to another Pokemon, which makes, obviously another Pokemon stronger that would be slower. So Mons like Scolipede and different things like that get better if you're able to baton pass. So again, just read your rules, familiarize yourself. Most leagues have a certain format that you have to put in either Showdown or the sports server. So whenever you're doing your battles, that you have this to make sure that there's no illegal moves or anything like that. So make sure that you're aware of that. This talks about, just the kind of clauses with regular Pokemon, like you can't put multiple Pokemon to sleep, or you can't boost your evasion, things like that. This one talks about the battle timer, so this one says it has to be off, it can be off. This one talks about, and we don't have to worry about that. This one talks about Z moves. So Z moves, Dynamaxing, Gigantamaxing, those are really powerful kind of gimmick things that were in past generations. For this league, it's not permitted, but there is leagues that have Z moves and Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing. Now, these things all over the place in terms of what everybody thinks about them. There's a lot of people think that they're terrible. A lot of people think that they're great for the game. So it just depends on what kind of league you're in. Again, just read the rules, familiarize yourself, and make sure that you are getting the most out of your draft. All right, we're done with the rules here. I think that's everything for them. If there isn't, leave me a comment, and I'll go over it. Here's your rosters. So coach name, team acronym. So this is where you can get all your information for battling each week usually. If there's not team pages, I usually go to the team pages. But yeah, sometimes there's just a roster page. So here's your draft page. What's great about most of these draft pages is it gives you the full effect of seeing everybody's draft. Okay, which is great. I love these pages because I'm able to see everybody's draft and what I think they're going to take, which is just another advanced technique that you can use to better draft and better time your drafting. So a lot of them are coded to where they immediately change your points at the bottom, so you don't have to calculate. So that's really good. I think that's all I want to say about the draft portion. Here's your tier list. This is usually going to be your third, fourth, or fifth slide, and you want to definitely familiarize yourself with this. I want to make a whole different draft video, so I'm not going to talk too much about this. But you do want to kind of look over this before you finish looking at the rest of the doc. You just kind of, okay, cool. Okay, they're top tier mons. Okay, cool. All right, so those are their top tier mons. Cool. This is your schedule. Usually your team is going to be on the far left, and then whoever you battle each week. Let's say I'm number 2, so I battle 14, 9, and 5 respectively. the next 3 weeks. So I kind of got to keep it in my mind. Okay, I battled those guys. I just need to kind of be thinking about, checks and counters to what I need to do. This won't be released usually until the end of the draft, because you don't want to, be prepping for your week 1 in the draft. So okay, he's got a Micro Guard of 4. I need to get a poison type that's really, really strong. Okay, probably Nihilego, because it hard walls that thing. Okay, things like that. So we'll just move on. So this is your league kill leaders. A lot of these leagues have it, or the documents have it, and this just shows, usually the highest kills will be at the top, and then etc. I don't really want to go into much about this. It's frivolous stuff. Kill leaders don't really matter too much. It's all about the wins losses, baby. It's all about winning, in my opinion. Winning and having fun, but winning helps you have fun, in my opinion. So you got your wins, losses, and then differential. This is kill differential, not win-loss differential. And then your coach's name. So we'll move on from that. We got leaderboards. This is just your big kill leader list. I'm not looking at that very much longer. And then here shows you your playoff picture. Usually, as the season goes on, it'll show you the quarterfinals, or the potential quarterfinals, and then sometimes if the format allows for a bye, then it'll have a little spot at the semifinals for a bye or something like that, and it shows the road to the championship. Let's go over the last thing we're going to go over is team pages. Okay, so you can see that this doc is a little bit better than most. It's got a lot of information on it. I'm not going to go over everything, but what I do want to go over is what am I going to go over? Oh, your free agents. Okay, yeah. So your free agents, a lot of the time, whenever you want to switch out them on, you need to know where to go. And so usually your free agent list, whether you put it on Discord, and then they put it on here, but this is kind of where you can track a lot of information, and you can go to other people's pages and look at all their information, whether it be kills, who they're using a lot, who they're not using, different things like that. You can usually watch opponents' replays to scout on an opponent's profile page, so that can be really important to look at. I'm trying to think anything else. There's really nothing I think left. The last part that I want to go over is a conclusion. I want to make sure that we understand the most important parts of the video, and the most important parts of the video is the rules. I think the rules are the most important part. If you listen to anything from this video, I would listen to the rules. Every single draft is different. Every single draft has different rules, and you really need to familiarize yourself with the rules so that, one, you're not asking questions too often. I mean, asking questions is fine. I always accept asking questions. But if you can go find it yourself, I think you should try to strive to find things for yourself. If you absolutely can't find something, that's fine. That's fine. Absolutely ask. But I would really just try to familiarize yourself with the rules before you ever look at the tier list, okay? Because that's the next important part, is looking at the tier list after you look at the homepage and the rules. And I think that's it from me, and that is my, a big video about league documents. The next thing we're going to talk about is drafting, so make sure to tune back in for the drafting portion of school. And this has been Sick Bid, aka Meek, and we'll see you later.